Right. Have we started yet?
As always, welcome to another edition of Grumpy Science with Bob Dennis and Mark Tommerdahl.
You bet. I just know that our sign's crooked. You know, after how many episodes?
I just tilt your screen a little bit.
Okay, your screen is probably screwed up.
There you go.
So people might appreciate some of the things that we do at the Brain Gauge. One of them, the Brain Gauge is here. We don't do any product placement whatsoever. Not for Jimmy Akers or even though it's kind of faded on my hat, for the farm or for the Brain Gauge. But, you know, we do a lot of fun things with Brain Gauge, and one of them is I hand them out to my students. I have 52 students in my undergraduate neuroscience course. And, you know, what better way to just keep doing what to make my life easier than to give them a Brain Gauge to learn about different things.
I use one too. In fact, everybody who watches this knows that I strangulated myself with one. So they're very versatile tools.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with the Brain Gauge.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't even talk about it being in class because I didn't ever get approval for that. But
oh, really? There's red tape.
So there's some red tape that I might have bypassed.
You avoided red tape. Oh, my. Who do I tell?
Well, the problem, I did it out of pocket, so they can't really say anything. Right. So, you know, it was all out of my own cost. So anyway... you know, and the first exercise these kids had said, all right, get your reaction time. And, you know, for the longest time, I mean, this is in the literature, you would think rock solid, but the last 50 years of reaction time testing.
Oh, God, we're talking about this a lot.
And it's got people's reaction time getting worse as they get older. But... So I kind of said, well, let's yeah, it doesn't really get worse when you get older. It gets worse when there's something wrong.
It gets worse when you get sicker.
Yeah. Now, Bob gave me permission to talk about his results to class. And this was after I had class. Everyone in class did their reaction time, and I'm kind of looking over their shoulders.
21-year-old college students,
yeah,
right?
They're young, and they're all, you know, and normal reaction time, we say, is between 200 and 220 milliseconds. And... mine's like full disclosure, I'm between 165, 180, just about, you know, we probably had.
I'm floating around 200, I think. And before my stroke, around there, I had a stroke in July.
You had a stroke and it popped
went
up
to
420.
420?
Yeah, 420.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm exaggerating.
And reaction time variability was even
way
worse.
Up, yeah.
So reaction time variability is kind
of
of
a few weeks, right? But I mean, I exercised. I did a bunch of things, and what did it come down to?
Well, first we got to start off with what the reaction time variability was 98, which is really bad. Yeah. He was sort of swatting at imaginary fruit flies while he was taking the test because he absolutely shouldn't. Then I told him go do something because his timing perception was off. I said, well, and Bob wasn't talking because he just said he was texting me and saying what should I do? And I was like, go do anything that will promote basically. Motor control, coordination task, whatever. So Bob hopped on the trampoline.
We got a trampoline at home. I jump around on it. It's one of those springless ones. Also run up and down on the beach. It's actually in his living room. And well, I got one. And run up and down on the beach and stand in the surf, you know, and
do the Karate Kid kind of thing.
And just everything that I could do that would challenge my my balance and everything. And I actually now am better off in terms of balance, strength, reaction time, ability to run, and everything than I was 7 weeks ago before I had a stroke.
Right. So your reaction time was 207, and reaction time variability was 28. Still just a hair on the high side for Bob.
Yeah, but pretty good for like a 20-year-old.
Yeah. Right. And so
really good for a 54-year-old.
So we had maybe of the 52 students, we had about 10 that scored under 200 milliseconds.
Yeah.
And maybe 20 under 250 milliseconds. The others were around 300 or higher. And I was like, man, what's going on?
So people are changing. People are changing because the way they work or they don't work, they go outside or they don't go outside. You know, they spend all day sitting. There is good evidence now to suggest that remaining seated most of the day is about as unhealthy for you as smoking.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
So I'm going to stand back up.
Yeah, he's got a standing desk.
Anyway, yeah, being sedentary. So there have been studies that showed being sedentary actually weighs on your scores. And anyway, so maybe that's part of it. There's a lot of other little studies that we might have talked about before, but we took a whole summer off. Bob had a stroke. He doesn't remember.
That's his excuse. So they told me he had to come to a meeting at the university, talk to some administrators. He said, I can't go to that meeting because
Bob had a stroke.
They're like, what? Who's Bob?
We use that for...
That's a good excuse. I tried
excuse.
using that one with my wife. I just had a stroke. And she's like, I don't care. Do this.
We're going to use this for at least a year. So
I'm going to use it for the rest of my life.
Until the next one.
That's my plan.
Then I'll probably have one.
Man has to have a plan. That's mine.
Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, all the studies across the board, from other universities and all these other studies, they have it going with aging. And it's like, well, how the heck could that be? Because there's all these things. Being sedentary makes you worse. Not being outdoors as much makes you worse, makes your brain less healthy.
Not doing physical work.
Not getting exercise. Now, there was one study that showed that runners, people, and this again is an old study, but runners in their 40s and 50s tested just as well as people, non-runners in their 20s.
Yeah.
So basically, it's all about staying healthy. And how do you stay healthy? Is you keep doing whatever works. Right.
And if you don't stay healthy, you end up like me.
Yeah.
You end up really screwed up.
And there's a whole bunch of whole lot of ways to improve your brain health. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about probably in this episode, the next episode, we're almost done with this episode, but is
we could stop anytime and nobody'd notice.
Or other people have already stopped.
I love this job. The pay's not good, but otherwise it's a good gig.
But anyway, a lot of people take supplement. There's a lot of companies out there saying, take this supplement, take
Nootropics,
enzyme QRC. It'll work much better. Take this, put this device on your head. It's anti-aging. Rub this mineral oil on your face and it'll make you smarter. I mean, I started looking through and I was like, oh my gosh. And people are buying this stuff thinking, well, this will help. This will help. The thing is, some supplements probably do help if you need that supplement.
Right.
And
if you're already replete,
and so
not going to help much.
And what exactly will stop the aging process? Well, the answer, class, is
you go ahead.
Not a thing. Right. It's coming. But anyway, I got my Skype in the mail, so I can look just like you.
Everybody ages at exactly 60 seconds a minute. All right.
Yeah.
It's like, do you age well or not?
Exactly. But there are some things that you can do to improve your brain health. And, one of the things that we chat about every once in a while is everybody is always just really impressed with professional athletes. They're really impressed with varsity athletes at colleges or people that train. And, even if you go to just check out your local swim club or track club, even if you're not running, just walk by and say, let's see how they start their practice. And the very first thing they do, like on a swim team, the very first thing they do is they segregate people by ability, and nobody asks any questions. There's no question, no doubt about it.
I know what this is.
Yeah.
That's right. They call it the way they see it, right? I mean, you got fast people.
But guess what happens with the slow kids? Because I was the slowest, and I moved up to the fastest lane over the years. But the slow kid, if you worked really hard, and you got better, you'd move up to the next lane. Yeah. And then you work hard and you move up to the next lane. You come to all the practice and you keep moving up until you're in the fast lane. And, of course, the really young kids like to get in the fast lane no matter what until they get old enough to realize, oh, everybody's swimming on top of me. But let's do the same scene in the brain world. And some people have enhanced physical capabilities because they've worked hard to get there. And actually, that's the same deal with brain function, but it's politically incorrect to talk about it. But guess what? We get some feedback every now and then. People aren't real happy with their brain gauge scores.
That's right. I mean, you stop on a scale and the number is bigger than you wanted. That's reality.
Almost
you can get unhappy about it, but it's reality. You take your blood pressure. If you're worried about your blood pressure and you want to do something about it, what's the first thing you do? Is you measure it. And then you sort of accept it. You know, you say, well, okay, that's the number, and I need to do something about
And
it.
that's what you work from. You
Yeah.
say, here's my starting point from this day forward. Can't go back. Can't undo the aging process or anything like that. You say, okay,
It is
what
what
is
it
going to
is.
make me better? And you know, that's sort of the way it works. But
It
you know,
is,
you go to
it's
the
what it
doctor and they take your height and your weight and they go, okay, you need to lose weight. Something we hear all the time. But you
I
know,
hear that all the time. You know, at least I'm consistent.
yeah, that's right. No one's ever told me to gain weight. No, that's pretty
Something
uncommon.
I've never heard.
No, never heard that. But you know, you can get in better shape or whatever. You can do the same thing with your brain. There's a lot of websites out there with useful information for how to do it. There's ways to train your brain. There's ways to exercise your brain. There's ways to take supplements.
Who's going to take that seriously, and who's going to know that they're doing anything positive unless they make a measurement and they accept it? And I know one of the problems that you run into is clinicians, actually, people in clinics actually tell you, well, how do I tell people about their brain gauge, their cortical metrics? You know, I'm not sure how to broach this subject, as if it's some kind of a taboo to tell somebody their brain's not.
Yeah, because they're looking to have good bedside manner, unlike mine.
Oh, they'll come on and say you're fat. You need
so when I look at Bob's scores right after his stroke, I said, Bob, your score sucked.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my God, you wounded my inner child. You know, I'm never going to talk to you again. You know, the first thing I said was, okay, well, you know, those are good to know. Okay, what sorts of things can I do to fix that? And that's what I did, and it fixed it. I mean, right?
It's working. It's getting it better.
It's getting it better.
It needs to get on the trampoline a little more.
Yeah,
but,
I need to do a lot of things a lot more. but you know, I knew what the problem was. I accepted it, embraced it, owned it. Then I started doing stuff, and then when I retest, I can say, okay, there's progress.
Yeah. So anyway, the bottom line is, brain gauge, when you first get it, gives you a starting point. And
you ain't gonna like it.
And then you don't like it, or you say, well, you know, we got a note from some guy today, or some person said, oh, my score is at 84. I don't think I need this because I mean, that's good enough. I was like, well,
84.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry,
metric, right? The total
84
overall.
out of 100. And I'm like, you know, actually, the best you could do is a lot better. And do you really want to be mediocre?
I think the second time I did it, I was above 84, and that was, you know, after my stroke, right? I think it was like 68 and then 85 or something like that.
Yeah, you did a little better than that, but, you know, you're still recovering from a stroke.
Yeah, I wouldn't quit there. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm pointed in the right direction. I'm pointed towards getting better.
So, you know, maybe you want to check yourself every once in a while.
Yeah, and also if you're going to, you know, put a lot of your time and money into some kind of supplement, some nootropic, something that somebody tells you is making your brain better, well, go ahead and measure it.
Yeah. Not only that,
you know, if it ain't helping you, why spend money on it?
You know, and there's a tuning curve for everything. We talked about that a little bit before, but basically, you know, taking supplements or doing nootropics or whatever, a little bit of something might really help or might not be enough.
Well, that's right.
A lot of that something might be too much.
Right.
But you want to find what's a sweet spot.
Well, that's right. You know, it's like exercise. It's like, you know, keto adapting. You know, it's like fasting or something. You know, everything's kind of got a Goldilocks zone, right? I mean, there's none at all, which is what a lot of people do. And there's too little, there's just right, and there's too much. And how do you know you're in the just right zone? You measure things. You know, you need to be able to measure things.
Be all you can be.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to try to keep this first one short. And we're going to show you some examples in some later episodes.
Yeah.
And talk about actual data. So you won't have to look at our ugly mugs the whole time. We'll actually put data up on the screen.
Oh, will we? Okay.
Oh yeah, I got data.
That'll be good. All right.
I always
excellent.
have data. That way we can look at stuff and not have to worry about it.
We'll see you later then.
All right. Bye.
All right.